realism, the ideology of postmodernism. Postmodernism is what? It's again another form of demonizing the other. It now makes a claim that we are all others. So what it does is that it eradicates the historical identity of people in the past, to say that, look, your struggles and your armed insurrections or your fights for justice are of no consequence. We are now all in the same boat. So it's a new philosophy, a new system that is being introduced slowly into the arena. And I mean, even aspects of the New Age movement, where there's this kind of, you go to the shops, you go to discussions of religion, where religion itself is something which is consumerist. It's big business. Now you have courses being offered in schools. I know the school I went to in Durban, where they're having courses on transcendental meditation and on yoga and so on. And it's interesting to note that most of these products, like even yoga for example, it form part of the whole. Just for example, part of Hinduism or part of transcendental meditation, part of a system. And what these people do is that they appropriate these systems, isolate them, package them and remarket them to the third world. Now we as Muslims, for example, when we do mosque tours and I tell Christians and people from the Jewish faith that, look, here we have a system like the Salah, which if you look at the context of the Old Testament, you'd find the same kind of postures and ideas permeating there. Jesus went a little further. He fell on his face and prayed to God and said, "Oh my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass away from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." The system of submission, all that can be found within our particular religious worldviews. So why is it that now all of a sudden, meditation, which is a right, that communication with God, with Allah, which is your right, your sole prerogative, it should be free. Now it's being repackaged and resold to you for megabucks. It's part of the capitalist system. It's gone back to consumerism. And that's the reason for that is that because organized religion has failed. When organized religion fails, people are no longer interested in going back to the churches. Now they want to experiment with different worldviews. They want to go into Zen Buddhism or karma, consciousness, these kind of ideas. But they don't look at the system as a whole. They look at certain aspects, like a potpourri of different religious beliefs, and you just pick and choose. The Oprah Winfrey kind of religion that is being marketed throughout the world. So I think that's basically it. Any other issues that you guys would like to raise?
Like you said, it's a very progressive thing, and one that is worth listening to all the time. Every time we're condemning the Jews, we're condemning America, we're condemning the Western world, that they are bringing all these hardships on the people of Israel, on the people of Palestine. Why don't we look at the Muslims? If you take the geography of the world, you start right from Indonesia, going right to North Africa. All that area is Muslim, except little Israel here, or a little bit of Azad Kashmir and all. Why don't the Muslims get together and you look at the resources, what they call the black gold? How much black gold is there? The world depends.
Unlimited.
Yeah, the world depends on it. Why don't the Muslims unite? Why don't we talk about let the Muslims unite and confront the world? We never talk about that. We always say what the Americans do. I'll give you one personal example, two personal examples. One, the present As-Salaam was formed at a conference in Gaborone, where the Muslim youth movement with WAMI called up a conference. I, by accident, was invited to the thing to give my concept of education. And my concept of education was, as a Muslim, how much I have missed out in the Western system of education. And I said, we need an Islamic institution. Right? Then we had the doctors there. And then it was thrown at us that you thinking about education, you thinking about medicine, why don't you all get together and form As-Salaam? So in 1977, this As-Salaam, as it stands today, was founded and I was one of the founding members. Right? Unfortunately, my stay at As-Salaam now is only 3 months. But if they know what I have been doing in the 3 months, is exactly what you have been talking today. Going out to everybody. Yesterday I had a meeting with the rector of the FET College, Coastal College, Mr. Ziman, to tell him our education should not be limited to the four walls. Our education should be taken out into villages. How into villages? By making the villages self-sustaining. At the moment, poverty is the right field. The social departments are trying to pass on orphans to us. What orphans? The HIV orphans, where the mother is alive, but they do not expect the mother to look after it. So what As-Salaam Braemar put up an orphan. So why don't we concentrate on Islam and say, let Islam dominate the world? So when South Africa got its independence, so-called independence, there was an article in the paper, 4,000 items from the United States will go duty-free to America. I immediately sent a memorandum to Mr. Mandela, asking him to please go through those 4,000 items. Every item there was a raw material. And I told him, go to America, they will manufacture, and where does it go back? South Africa. So I told him that ask Clinton, personally when you go there on a one-to-one basis, Mr. Clinton, allow all clothing manufactured in South Africa to go duty-free into America.
They won't allow it.
Only for 5 years. Mr. Mandela then personally phoned me. If anybody wants to read it, I've got the memorandum. Your student's representative has read it. So he sent me with our friend Trevor Manuel to the United States. Trevor Manuel at that time was trade and industry. So I could see immediately that he was only interested in the money part, to build his future as an economist. So I was left with the Black Caucus. Addressed them, Jesse Jackson and company and all that. And I came back, I gave a report to Mr. Mandela. When Mr. Mandela went, he had a discussion with Mr. Clinton. When he came back, he says that solid, this is the first phone call I'm making on the return. He says, they took me for a child. I said, what about? All the 4 items are now suspended. We have formed the South Africa-America Committee, chaired by my Vice President Thabo Mbeki and his Vice President Elgo, and they will look into it. Well, I wanted it only for 5 years. If we had 5 years, we have saved all the clothing factories in Eastern Cape. The findings only came out in 2002, by the time the damage was done.
The damage was already done.
Damage was done. Now, if you keep your eyes open, you'll see next week, in this campus, there will be 25 girls coming from one of these neighboring villages. We will be teaching them sewing. We then hope to open up a factory in that village and going to all the hospitals, all the schools to tell them, let us manufacture your uniforms. I'm talking to the clothing industry people in Durban. They also are very keen to it. When Mr. Zimande heard of it, he says, why to that village? Let's go to other villages too. So our strength at the moment, let's build our villages.
Build our villages.
Let's build our villages and let's give education meaningfully. Let's include our sisters. They are going to be the future mothers.
Very good.
And let's organize more. I just say once a month. We try to get IPC more into this. There are other organizations get more into this.
More involved.
More involved.
Other people.
The president of
Pakistan.
Pakistan. And he told all the Muslims, why are you letting the West use your oil? Guess what happened?
He was assassinated.
No, not the
Subsequently.
He was jailed
Yeah.
by the Pakistani people at the instigation of the United States. And eventually
They killed him.
they killed him. But that can only come if we unite. And this is the type of institution. The education should not be the books.
Yeah.
It should be the future of South Africa and
Future
the
of South
future of
Africa.
Africa. You are our future leaders.
As a think tank.
Brother mentioned SAMNet. If you heard earlier, he is one of the jokes of the present day South African Muslim community. Is SAMNet. I went to that dinner. South Africa was not represented at that dinner.
It was the bourgeoisie and the elite that was
It was
represented.
a small society that was represented. But you are the ones who can be the future president. It is my dream. I've got it, if you want, I can show you in black and white. which I presented my vision. You know what is my vision? That one day to tell the world that the president of South Africa is a black Muslim who has come from As-Salaam. The United States, South African ambassador to the United States, is a Muslim come from As-Salaam. And if Marian Hill Seminary can produce a bad example, Robert Mugabe, why can't we produce the president of South Africa from As-Salaam? That's my dream. If you want it, I'll show it to you in black and white. When I took office, that's the first vision which I gave to my community members, is this is what I'm looking at As-Salaam. Not for you to get through metric, to take the leadership of this country. And we can do it. You can do it. Have more talks like this.
Jazakallah.
We thank the IPCI, especially Brother Ismail, Yusuf Ismail, because for me when he came there, I thought maybe no, it's just one of those people. I never paid too much, but the time he came and said everything, then I realized that is what we needed most. And when information is coming like this, it is always said that it's either you use it or you lose it. So we thank a lot, and probably we can have working relations for the future, inshallah.
What I'm going to do is that brothers requested these slides. I'm going to make some of the information on these slides available, and then of course you can utilize it and use it for your particular material and stuff. Jazakallah.